Okay, we are recording. Shout out to Mr. James Brown, all the way in Playa Vista. He is a Daniel Challenge alumni, 21 days in, amazing results. So James, how you doing? Thank you for being here.
Doing great. Doing great. Getting a lot of sleep these days, I'll tell you that much.
That's good. That's good. So, I wanted to bring people here because we actually go to the same church when it's not in lockdown. And I hosted a Daniel challenge at my church, and it was an amazing experience. It was a 21-day challenge. And James here, who had an amazing testimony. He was the only person that did lab work. And I was just so you know me, I love me some lab work. So I would just love to get some details on your experience. So let's start with the basics first. So James, can we get a little background on you? Just, I already mentioned where you're from, but like, what are you into? I see the Philadelphia Eagles behind you. Just give us a quick story about you. What do you want to share?
Well, me, I'm a stand-up comedian and actor. So I've been in that. That's why I moved out here from Philly for that. Diehard Eagles fan, diehard everything in the background. Yeah, Philly. I would say most of my life I've been actually, it's funny. Let me see if this works. So I've been active all my life, swimming when I grew up, weightlifting, boxing, football, all the sports and whatever. So it wasn't until, gosh, I think it was 95 right when I moved out here, I started dating this girl, and it went for a while, and we were doing good, and she was from Japan, and she's a cook. So she started just cooking me meals, and I was bartending at the time when I wasn't filming. So I put on a lot of weight, because I figured, she liked me as a teddy bear and not a muscle guy, as she used to say. And then we broke up, and I've been lonely since. No, I'm just kidding. So then, so I've been healthy all my life, basically. And then I put on weight, and I just stayed on, and I just got complacent with the weight that I'm at. I was getting my acting roles with this weight, being a tough guy and whatever, and never really, thought about diabetes or any health issues. Mm-hmm. And then I just got a checkup and whatever, and found out that I had diabetes because I had the weight, put on the weight, and high blood pressure. And so I grew up with JD Roth and Chrissy, JD and Chrissy. And JD, the owner of The Big Loser and all that stuff. So him and I connected probably a few years ago, and he was just telling me, go plant-based and this and that. And I didn't really know anything about it. And I was just like, I'm not eating the vegetables, but then as I looked into it, I saw that there's so many different products out there that are good for you, that taste good and everything. And then when the Daniel Challenge, so when I came back from vacation, because my daughter and I go home every Christmas. So when we came back in January and went back to church, and I had met you and found out about the Daniel Challenge. And I said, wow, this is God talking to me. Because I said, when I get back, I'm going to go strict plant-based and see how that works. And then literally, we probably got back on a Thursday, and I met you that Sunday. And I was like, this is perfect. And I got your literature, looked into it, read about it, and jumped in after you guys. And it was great. I mean, I thought it was going to be challenging. I told my daughter, I said, be prepared if daddy starts grumbling and grumbling, because I'm changing my diet strictly. And I didn't grumble or anything. Like to me, what I did was, all the salads I was eating, I kind of doubled what I guess what everybody else was doing, just to keep me, like, I stuck with it almost perfectly. I didn't do the beets. No, not the beets, the radishes. That radish dinner, I didn't do that.
That dish is so good, I'm telling you.
I'll try it. I got to try it. But I looked at it as, wow, I'm going to be hungry. And I didn't, like I would take literally big bowls of salad with the dressings that you had. And I'd pick and choose the dressings and then, stuck by all the meals and whatever, I think I told you before, I've never thought of putting peanut butter or almond butter on fruit and walnuts. And I was like, wow, this is great, and what I would do is I would probably eat double the fruit, because JD always told me, he said, the good thing about going plant-based is you can eat as much as you want, the brown rice, the vegetables and all that until you get full. And so that's what I did with your Daniel challenge. And the meals are great. That spaghetti squash, never even heard of it, and the what is it, the Engine 2 tomato sauce.
Yes.
From Whole Foods, that was oil free and sugar free, and it was great. And it's a cool thing, and it filled me up. Like there's so many nights that I would make the dinners that you had for us, and I'd go into it thinking, oh gosh, this is not going to be enough, and then I get halfway through it and I'm like, wow, this is too much, which is cool. And so like a lot of like if I had spaghetti squash left over, I'd eat it for lunch the next day, because at the first 10 days I went strict. I followed everything you had, and then when I talked to you and you said, no, you could switch it up. If you like this dinner that we had on Tuesday night and you don't like Friday night's dinner, have Tuesday nights, make it Tuesday night's dinner again, and that's what I did. And like I told you, I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. And I think my blood pressure before I started was like around 175 over 89. And after the 10 days, it was the 9th day, I went and got my labs done. And my blood pressure was, I think it was 128 over 40 or something like that. I know my blood sugar was 128 after I ate.
Oh.
But yeah, all my vitals went down, and I was, I walked out of that doctor's office kicking my feet in the air, and then I felt so much energy, it was just like I was literally, well, that was back when we had school, but I was literally up at 5 o'clock and going to the gym here, and taking care of the school, going to do what I do during the day, whatever it was, filming or voiceovers or whatever, and working out and everything. And then at night, I wasn't even tired. Like I would literally lay there in the bed, staring at the ceiling, like, wow, all right, am I going to fall asleep? Because I had so much energy, and I wasn't eating after 8. I was drinking a lot of water. And yeah, I mean, it was great, and my sister, because all my family's Christian, and I have my brother and sister live in Atlanta. And when I text them about it and told them what I was going through, they already knew what it was, because I had never heard of it until you mentioned it. And they're like, oh yeah, I did the Daniel challenge before. And I was like, really? And then my sister sent me out a 21-day prayer book, there was a different prayer for each day. Day 1, what Jesus went through, how he was starving himself and doing it for the certain reasons why he did it for, and, then I read the book of Daniel, like you told me to do. And I mean, it was great. It's just, the whole thing is just great. And that's why when I talked to you, gosh, last time, I don't even remember when I talked to you last, I know it was after the pandemic. I said, I'm going to do it again, because I went off it, had some meat or whatever. And then I said, what I'm going to do is every now and then, I'm just going to do this 10-day challenge again, and because it's a cleansing, is what it is, And it's a fasting, but it's a good fasting. It's not like the fasting where I'm not eating anything and just drinking water and starving and, smelling people's hamburgers or whatever, or barbecue that they're making and getting frustrated. It wasn't that, I mean, this was good, and I would prepare everything the night before. Salads were the easiest because I didn't have to mix the dressing until the next morning or whatever. But yeah, it was great, and I love it. And I actually downloaded the whole 10 days on my phone. Not download, screenshot all there's one picture of the each day I screenshotted, and now it sits on my photos. So when I want to go back to it, I just go to the dressings, because that's the first photo, make the dressings, and then I say, all right, what am I going to have today or tomorrow or whatever, and make it. And I just put my phone right there in the kitchen and start making what I need to make, and it's still there. Excuse me. It's still there to this day.
Nice. That's a good little tip for y'all. Keep it handy on your phone. So, all right, I want to unpack some of this amazing story that you've shared with us. Like, first of all, the whole divine connection, the way God brought us together, it was obvious. It was so obvious. You had this thought of wanting to make a shift for your health, for your family. And then days later, or I don't know, a day later or something like that, we crossed paths. And not only am I hosting this Daniel Challenge at our church, you're a diehard Eagles fan, I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but another layer on top of that, you're best friends with JD Roth and Chrissy Roth, who are the couple behind The Biggest Loser, and they were the TV show that inspired me to get into this whole Daniel Challenge scenario. Like, they cast me on their TV show and they put me on a whole food plant-based diet. They didn't position it as Daniel Plan, but it's essentially the same thing. I figured it out. God led me down this path. And it was just like triple layers of just like, yeah, God, we need to connect. And it's been amazing. And I just loved your testimony, like everything that happened, some of the specifics, because you did post it in our little Facebook group. So I pulled up some of the screenshots. I'm going to get more of the specific details for everyone here watching, because they didn't, get to see our Facebook feed. So in 4 days, you had lost 6 pounds. Like, you were posting pictures of you on the scale, like, I'm 6 pounds down in 4 days. And then you mentioned the 10 pounds in 10 days. And on day 8, you had gone to the doctor. And let me see, I think you did post so it wasn't even 10 days in, and your lab work took an amazing shift. So let me pull up those let me see, where did I put it? Here we go. So you said it was 175/89 prior. And then after 8 days, it was 124/80. So that was your blood pressure.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's a blood pressure. Yeah, that's the blood pressure. Mm-hmm. And I think 128 was the RBS.
Mm-hmm. So was that the post-meal blood glucose response, or was that fasting?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was because I had breakfast that morning, then went to the doctor's. And yeah, they said it was fine, because I thought that I could, it was one of those I couldn't eat after midnight.
Yeah.
But they said, no, you're fine, just come in. And so I did. Yeah, I was like, wow, 128.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be under 200. What was it normally? Do you remember what your number was prior to challenge?
No, I don't want to move the screen. Never mind. I was going to check my phone. No, I don't. But I know I know it wasn't that low. The blood sugar, it wasn't that low. Mm-hmm. It was higher. I don't remember exactly what it was. I'd have to go check. But yeah, I know it was just amazing to see the change in just 8 days, Yeah. And I was actually inspired by Graham, when you were telling me about him talking, because I talked to him that first day that I met you both. And he was telling me that, he got rid of his diabetes by doing that. And I was like, bam, hello, what? And so, I'm still on my way.
So how long ago was it that you got diagnosed? And I do want to clarify that. So it was type 2 diabetes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the timeline for that? Like, was it this year that you had gotten diagnosed or years ago?
No, it was last year. Probably what's this year? I don't even know what it is, 2020. So 2019, but that's when I went to the doctor. So I'm sure it's been a while, because I've been overweight for a while, but I had never gone to the doctors to have anything like that checked, because to me I looked at diabetes like, how would you say, like, you inherit it or whatever. I never looked at it as a fat person's fat person's disease. I always, to me, it's like something like, if it ran in your family, then you're going to have it. And it doesn't run in my family. So I never thought anything about it. And then when the doctor told me, I was like, ooh, okay, well, let's do something about that. And so I was taking medicine for a while, and then then the Daniel Challenge came along, and I realized, that you can get rid of it, or not get rid of it, but just minimize it to being healthy by just eating healthy. And then you got me into watching Game Changers on Netflix, because now I'm into all this plant-based stuff, Forks Over Knives and this and that and everything. And that, watching those shows, that's why when I started the Daniel Challenge, I was making a beetroot juice, because of lifting weights and drinking the apple cider vinegar. I was doing shots of that in the morning and night. Everything just healthy, just a lot of water. I think the only thing I drank outside of water was pomegranate juice. Did I drink hot tea? I can't remember. I might have drank hot tea, but I know I was drinking hot water and lemon.
Oh yeah. That's great to start your day with. So what was that like at diagnosis? So this came kind of as a surprise because it wasn't a genetic thing. So I remember when Graham got his, I was just kind of like jaw dropped, like shocked, like fear mode wanted to set in. So like, what was your response when the doctor kind of told you this surprising news?
Mine was, I can't remember exactly what I asked him, but when I found out, I think I told him it didn't run in my family. He says, it doesn't have to run in your family. And he says, you're overweight. And so when I read up on it, I found out all the different ways that you can get diabetes, and it doesn't have to run in your family. And and I diagnosed myself as eating unhealthy, drinking alcohol and whatever, the stuff that, because before all that, I was eating late at night, and then I'd go right to bed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't eating healthy. I'd have pasta, before I go to sleep or whatever. And it's just, so when he told me it was a weight thing, I said, all right, well then I just got to lose weight, and I said, I'll never get rid of it, but I can minimize it to where I can live without medicine and be healthy. And that's where the Daniel Challenge just shocked me.
Yeah.
It was great.
Is that something, what did the doctor recommend to you in terms of managing this? And did he ever give you hope of reversing it? He always gave me hope. But I always told him, because he said, I can give you literature and whatever, and nutrition stuff. But I had already talked to JD, and I said, I just got to stick with plant-based, and then I would stick with it for a little bit. Then I'd go off, like, let's say Memorial Day weekend or July 4th or something, and barbecues or football games or baseball,
basketball games or whatever, hanging out with the fellas. You know, I'd go off and back and forth with my lifestyle, you know. And now with this pandemic, you know, I have to eat more healthy as well because the gyms aren't open. You know, I was finally able to get a bike after trying for 3 months. So now I could ride, and get some type of exercise. You know, I do the stairs here where I live, which is good.
Great workout.
Well,
Great workout,
you know,
those stairs.
I love the stairs. I honestly do. But yeah, so it wasn't a shock. It was more a responsibility thing, you know, because I knew that I could reverse it. I knew what I needed to do to reverse it. It wasn't something that's not going to go away or that can't be reversed. You know, if that was the case, then I would have been shocked and upset and this and that. Because I told myself it's up to me. You know, I'm the one that has to change it.
Yeah.
You know,
so it was a wake up call, and then by the grace of God, He already placed everything in your path. And so, what did it mean to you to be able to learn this right away? So recently after your diagnosis, that you have the power to manipulate your blood work in whichever direction you want. Like, what did that mean to you to be able to understand that you could do that and so quickly from the Daniel?
When I actually saw it, like I actually scheduled. I actually pushed back my doctor's appointment because the first doctor's appointment I was going to have was like day 2 of the Daniel Challenge. I said, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I'd rather wait. And I was going to push it to after day 10. But I said, you know what? No, yeah, they didn't have appointments. The last appointment they had was day 8, whenever I went. That was the closest. Then after that, it would have been like day 20 something. So I was like, no, let's just try day 8. See how, you know, if nothing really changed in day 8, then I would have booked it again for 2 weeks later. Because I stuck with the 10-day strictness, just because I said, why wouldn't I? You know, and then after that, from 11 to 21 or whatever, when we could start eating grains and beans and this and that, I still stayed healthy with it. But when I walked out of there after day 8 and I had all those numbers, I was like I said, I was on top of the world. I was like, wow, only 8 days and I've changed this much. And I go, you know, what's it going to be like in 8 months?
Yep.
You know, or 8 weeks or something. And so I'm not going back to the doctors lately because of the pandemic. There's no need to go out if I don't want to. But, you know, when this is all over, at least it slows down or something, then I'll go back. But, you know, I know I'm not getting worse because I'm not eating worse. You know, as long as I maintain it, you know, it's not the perfect 10 days, you know, but what I do, like I said, on my phone, I'll go on my phone and I'll make that spaghetti squash for dinner one night. I'll make the other one was the spinach and mushrooms. And then that water sauteing that you had me doing, you know, I was like, wow, you know, like I've got green beans in the freezer and I'll pull them out and, you know, I'll either veggie broth saute them or water saute them. And, you know, at first I was like, oh gosh, water saute? No, you know, and I forget which I water saute the mushrooms and onions in that the mushrooms and spinach dinner when you mixed in the tahini to make it creamy. And I think that was the first day I ever did water sauteing. I had done veggie broth sauteing before because that's how I do my zucchini and squash. And how I make my vegetable soups and whatever. But yeah, when I did that water sauteing, I was like, and it came out good. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. I was like, goodbye, grease. See ya. You know?
I know simple tricks here and there can have a lasting impact. And we had someone else in that Daniel Challenge that she just said it outright. Like, I'm not going to be able to be perfect on this. I have a husband to feed and like, I'm going to make minor changes. But in 4 months, those minor changes, she wasn't even 100%. She still lost 17 pounds. And like, she was noticing all these benefits. So over time, a little thing can go a long way and make a big impact. So
Yeah.
you know, like you said, you don't have to be perfect, but knowing how to be perfect is important, because even when people try to do good, if they have the wrong information, it can hinder and backfire. So the other thing that I forgot to kind of touch on that you mentioned earlier was that the portion size, like, you know, where people get caught on these diets is they think they have to restrict the amount of foods, restrict the calories, restrict this. And on this plant-based diet, when you are fully disciplined, you don't really have to count. You can just eat until you're satisfied, and all that fiber, all that food just, you know, sorts itself out properly in your system, and your stomach can only contain so much. So yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. And then you know, what was it like working with me? I am now, you know, in the Daniel Challenge for Diabetics space, where for diabetes, where, you know, give people a glimpse of what it was like just learning how to do the Daniel eating according to, you know, how I did it for y'all.
It was actually very good. You know, that's why when I don't know how soon into it. I think I might have been a day or two into it where I downloaded everything, screenshotted everything to the phone, because I kept going back to my computer to read the recipes. But it was great, you know, especially being able to go out and, you know, try new stuff like the apple cider vinegar dressing. I was like, you know, making this all up. And the good part about it is that I knew everything there. The dressings were healthy and good for me. All the meals were good for me. And it gets you in a mindset, a positive mindset, because I know I'm eating healthy. I know what I'm eating. And, you know, like it was great. And, you know, like you see each and every day, the energy change, you know, your mindset changes. And it's just, it was great knowing that I can eat something and I know it's good for me, and it was good, you know. All the salads were good. You know, I'd switch it up here and there. I'd throw artichokes in one day or black olives in another day or something. Because I think the kale was getting to me for a while, you know. And I said, all right, well, I got to, you know, if I'm going to have the kale today, then I'm going to have to mix it with something else. But now I just learned, you know, what I started doing with kale is I will boil it for a minute and soften it up a little bit, then drain it, and then I have it get cold, and I'll mix it the next day in with the salad, or I'll mix it, if I'm pressed for time, I'll mix it in that day with something. And I don't mind a warm salad. You know, I sometimes I'll take the salads and I won't put them in my little lunchbox with ice. I'll just put them in there and just let them sit, you know, because to me, I've always been like that. You know, I like my salads cold. I like them warm. So it was, you know, it was good for me.
That's
you know, and then,
yeah.
Huh?
I said that's interesting. So like softening the kale makes it a little bit easier to chew. Is that why you did that?
Yeah. And it gives it's a different texture.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of brings it to the texture of a romaine lettuce. You know, and
some good tips
you know,
here, y'all.
Huh?
So you're giving some good tips here. Hope people are taking notes.
Yeah. I mean, it was it was good. You know, especially as you go on with it, you can experiment in different ways. Mm-hmm. You know, like the spinach and mushroom dinner with the tahini, I'd throw the kale in. You know, it's because it didn't call for kale, but I was like, all right, well, let's put it in. It's not going to hurt it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a cabbage dish that I made, which was, you know, I sauteed the cabbage, made that softer or whatever. And it's just, I mean, it's me. You just mix something else in. Plus that protein pasta that I was eating from Barilla. which JD had turned me on to because it's made of all vegetables. So that pasta, you know, I was able to I remember when the pandemic started, like when all the all the supermarkets, remember during that little period where everybody was out, lines out the door, and everybody buying up
Empty
toilet paper. Yeah. You know, so for a good, I'd say, month and a half, I couldn't find this protein pasta. And I was like, wow, they must not be making it, you know, because everything was sold out of stores anyway by the time you go, you know. And one day I walked in the store and they had it, and I bought 8 boxes. I said, I'm buying it up. And I bought all the boxes they had, and they're still in my closet. You know, because
quarantine stash, your good little quarantine stash. Make sure you stay full and well fed according to the Daniel way. So yeah, I just love the way you've taken this and ran with it, gotten creative with it. Like, that's what we're here to do, to give people that basic guideline, and then you make it your own, you know, and you weave it into your lifestyle as it best fits you in this moment. And so what would you say, based on your experience with the Daniel Challenge, you know, for people here that are watching, like if there's another type 2 diabetic, like what would you say to them? Why should someone take action with this type of challenge? Like, what would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is it works. You know, I proved that in 8 days. You know, I mean, 8 days, it was literally 8 days of fruits, vegetables, and water, which being a meat eater, I would have never thought I would do that, you know, especially 8 days in a row. And I said, you know, I was excited going up to those 8 days because I said, let me see if this healthy way of eating is going to change my health. And it did. And I was sold, you know. So anybody out there with type 2 diabetes or whatever, do it. You know, you can do it. And if you don't think you can make it and you want to cheat, go ahead and cheat. You know, cheat one day, you know, it's not going to hurt you, because the majority of your time you're eating healthy, and you know what you're putting into you is good for you. And I'm proof right here, Graham's proof. You know, you can reverse your diabetes. You can lower your blood pressure, you know, and you're eating good. And plus it costs less, you know, veggies don't cost that much, you know, and it's not all salads, you know, there's all different types of food. It was a wide variety, you know. I mean, I've never made my own hummus, and you had me making hummus with chickpeas and cucumbers. And I was like, wow, you know, no oil, no salt. And I tried it, and I think the recipe called for, you can eat it with pita bread, but I didn't eat it with pita bread. I ate it with sliced cucumbers, you know, which was great. Because normally if I buy hummus, I eat it with celery anyway. You know, I'm not a big pita bread or cracker guy. I eat it with celery and carrots just because I know, you know, I started doing that a couple of years ago because I knew it was healthy, you know. So when I made your hummus, I remember it was sliced cucumbers and sliced tomatoes. And while you're doing this and you're seeing yourself change, and you know you're eating healthy, you're just going to keep doing it, you know. Like, and it's also a mindset thing, you know. I can't sit there and be water sauteing vegetables but thinking about eating fried chicken, you know. It's like I had to get it out of my head, and I had to challenge myself because my daughter wasn't doing it. And so when I cooked for her, I think it was like maybe 3 days in to the challenge, I made her homemade chicken parm. And, you know, normally when I make the chicken parm for both of us, when the chicken's done, I'll take it out and taste it. Or when I'm making her something, I'll taste it just to make sure, you know, if it's good. And I remember that I was making the chicken parm, and I pulled it out of the pan, and the cheese was melted, and, you know, I put the sauce on it for her. And whatnot. And I looked at it and I cut into it and I took the fork and I said, whoa, what am I doing? I go, no. You know, and this is during the 10 days. Cause I said, I made a pact that 10 days I'm going strict. I'm not cheating, because you wouldn't have known I cheated, but I know I cheated and God knows I cheated. So why am I going to do it? You know, and I said, let me just do it. Let me do it exactly how you have it and followed it perfectly, you know? And I said I could do it, and I did it, and I loved it, and I'm still doing it, you know, because now, you know, I'll take maybe I'll do the first 3 days, or I'll take 3 days out of that 10 days and do it. And then, you know, like the 4th or 5th day, you know, like the Thursday or Friday, I might have something else, you know, may have salmon or something or whatever. But I always go, that's why I keep it on my phone, because I always go back to it. And I know any of those recipes that you have, you had on there is going to be good for me. Yeah. So I was like, all right, yeah.
And then you were one of the people in the group that really took advantage of the group aspect. So what was it like having a community, a private Facebook group where everybody was kind of in it together, doing it in a godly sense and supporting each other? Like, can you just describe, did that make it easier for you to stick with it? Or were there other?
Oh, that definitely made it easier.
Okay.
No, it made it easier. And the fact that, excuse me, I looked at it as a godly, hold on one second. You there?
Yes.
All right, somebody was calling. The fact that, you know, everybody was doing it, and we were in this little, and it was all our church people. And I said, you know, I can't sit here and I can't lie to you, especially the people I go to church with, you know. So as they were posting stuff, I was taking note of what they had, because I said after the 10 days, because you guys were ahead of me, I think like 7 days. So I said, you know, I'd see what they were posting, and I'd say, all right, cool, I'm going to try that, you know, maybe on the 11th day or the 12th day. But I said, you know, it was just, and it was fun to take the pictures, post them, and then see everybody's response, you know, and to be able to help, you know, like I was making the fresh carrot juice and the beetroot juice, you know, and I said, you know what, let me show everybody what I'm doing. And, you know, they're showing me what they're doing. And then I would take pictures of the meals that I'd make. It was mostly the dinners, because the others were just salads. But, yeah, the meals, the dinners I was taking pictures of, so you guys could see them and everything. And
you were trying on shirts too. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. This Sunday morning shirts. You know, like before we come up there to Pasadena for church. Before Kira woke up, you know, I would go in my bedroom, and I had different shirts picked out that were tighter before, and I could see as time was going on, they were getting looser. And I was like, yeah, I love this, you know. And then I was putting on tank tops that I hadn't worn in, over a year or so. Wow. You know, yeah.
That's amazing.
You know, yeah, it's great. I mean, it was great. Like I think I only got on the scale when I had to. However, I was monitoring myself. But with this, I wasn't too concerned about the scale, because I was lifting weights. So let's say, like when I was 10 pounds down in 10 days, I knew it was more than that because I had put on muscle, you know. And that's why I do the shirts, you know, the shirts and the shorts, you know, because, I mean, it kind of goes both ways with the shirts, because I'm getting bigger, but I'm losing fat, but I'm also gaining muscle up my upper body, you know. So that's my more or less. The shirts were more about the stomach, you know. I wasn't too concerned about my shoulders and my chest, because I know I was getting bigger, but it was how my stomach was going down, and it went down, you know.
Real quick. That's what I love. And you said it works. So before we, I could go all day sharing your stories. It's just so inspiring. But what would be your final, what was your one key takeaway that you want to make sure you highlight for people here before we close out? Something you learned, that aha moment, like what is your one thing that you just want to make sure people take away from the Daniel Challenge, especially for diabetes?
I would say it works. You can reverse your diabetes by eating healthy. And this isn't the old way of eating healthy where you're just like, putting the food in your mouth and you don't want to eat it, but it's good for you. This was good. The recipes you had, like I told you about the fruit with the walnuts, I was excited. I'd look on the thing and I'd say, okay, some more, berries in the morning. Okay, so let's do it with cashews today instead of walnuts. Let's do it with the sunflower seeds instead of the cashews. And I knew every meal was good, and I would say don't go into it with a negative mind. Don't go into it saying, oh gosh, I'm going to be eating vegetables for the next 10 days or 21 days. I'm going to be just eating fruits. Trust me, you'll like it. I mean, it was great, because all the food was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious.
Then,
sometimes diabetics they stay away from fruit. Was fruit something that you normally didn't eat or would stay away from because of the higher carb essence of it?
No, I've always eaten fruit, but I didn't eat it as much as I was doing with the Daniel Challenge, and it forced me to go out and try different fruits. I was more the lazy fruit eater. I'd mixed frozen mangoes with I'd cut up oranges or something, in the morning. But now I was doing all different berries, and adding the nuts to it, and sometimes the almond butter or the peanut butter. So it was a whole new meal to me. It was good. It was easy. You just have to prepare. Like I would prepare my dishes the night before, so the next day all I had to do was either add dressing or the fruit was always there. But it was fun for me to literally walk out of like Sprouts with all this fruit, and I'm like, wow, I'm really doing this, and I'm not plant-based brother,
Oh, well, thank you. This was like, I don't know, like you guys were kind of like the first Daniel Challenge experience that I got to do as a group, and you're like, just meeting you and knowing the way God brought us together, like it really just made it special. And so I'm just so glad to be able to have you here. And now you're going to be motivating so many other people. And, that's my goal, is just to give you that basics, give you that support system you need, give you those tools to make it as fail-proof as possible. So, I know I could talk to you all day about this, but I know you got to get to your daughter, have some dinner. Maybe you're cooking some spaghetti squash tonight. I don't know, but but I just want to say thank you. And to any people here in the challenge, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll try and get back to you with some more details. So that's it for now. Thank you all for watching, and thank you, James, for taking the time just to share your amazing story.
You're welcome, sweetheart, and thank you. Good luck, everyone. Have fun.